In the days after the flood, one family alone stood as the remnant of humanity. Noah, righteous in the sight of the Lord, and his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, were spared to repeople a desolate world, cleansed of its ancient corruption. To them was given a divine charge to scatter across the earth, to fill it with life and subdue its wild expanses. Yet within their hearts the seeds of division were already sown, their fates foretold by the words of their father, spoken under the breath of divine inspiration. Noah, with eyes that pierced the veil of time, declared the destinies of his son's posterity. For Ham, whose soul had cast aside filial reverence, a shadow fell. His son Canaan, following in the spiritual decline of his father, would bear a curse. A servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. The vileness of Ham's heart, laid bare by an unnatural deed, would echo through generations, drawing divine judgment upon his line. Yet for Shem and Japheth, who honoured their father and the statutes of the Almighty, a brighter path was promised. Shem's seed would be the chosen, the bearers of God's covenant, from whom would spring Abraham, Israel, and the Redeemer himself, and Japheth, blessed to dwell in the tents of Shem, would share in the gospel's light. Thus the tapestry of nations was woven, its threads dyed with the choices of men. For a time the sons of Noah dwelt among the mountains, where the ark had come to rest, their numbers swelling under the heavens. But apostasy, like a creeping shadow, stirred division. Those who scorned their Creator, who chafed at his holy law, grew weary of the righteous. They turned their eyes to the plain of Shinar, where the Euphrates flowed and the soil promised abundance. Here they resolved to forge a new home, a city to defy the divine command to scatter, and in its heart they dreamed of a tower, a monument to their own glory, its pinnacle piercing the heavens, a wonder to command the awe of all ages. The builders of Babel sought not merely a city, but a universal empire, a monarchy to bind all peoples under their will. They disbelieved the covenant of the Lord, who had sworn never again to drown the earth. Some denied his very existence, ascribing the flood to the whims of nature. Others, acknowledging a supreme being, rebelled like Cain before them, their hearts aflame with pride. They raised their tower to secure their safety, believing its height could defy any deluge, even pierce the clouds to unravel the flood's mysteries. In their arrogance they adorned chambers for idols of silver and gold, exalting their own wisdom above the ruler of heaven and earth. The tower rose, a testament to human ambition, its stones laid with the mortar of rebellion. The builders dwelt within its walls, their voices raised in praise to false gods. But their unity, forged in defiance, was fragile. Angels, unseen by mortal eyes, descended at the Lord's command. The tongues of men, once one, were confounded. Words became as wind, unintelligible. Orders faltered, materials mismatched, chaos reigned. Where harmony had driven their labor, now strife and confusion tore it asunder. In rage they turned upon one another, their confederacy crumbling into bloodshed. Then, as a sign of divine displeasure, lightning rent the heavens. The tower's lofty summit, symbol of their pride, was shattered and cast to the earth. Men stood in awe, trembling before the truth. There is a God who rules the heavens. Scattered by their new languages, they departed the plain, some to the east, others to the west, fulfilling the Lord's purpose despite their rebellion. The earth was peopled not by their design, but by his will. But as the rebels scattered, they carried not the light of truth, but the darkness of idolatry. Noah, preacher of righteousness, and Shem, his faithful son, lived long to proclaim God's will, but the rebels of Babel turned from their words, choosing instead the altars of false gods, stained with the blood of their own children. The men of Babel sought a kingdom free of God, a realm of self-exaltation. Yet among them were some who feared the Lord, deceived by the ungodly, yet spared by divine mercy. For their sake the Almighty had delayed his judgment, giving time for truth to pierce their hearts. But the builders had been united in their heaven-daring quest and pressed on. Had they succeeded, their empire would have banished righteousness, casting the world into oppression and cruelty. For the laws of God, holy and just, they sought to replace with statutes born of selfish ambition. And so the Lord came down, not in wrath alone, but in mercy. He confounded their speech and toppled their pride. The tower, meant to stand as a monument to human glory, became a ruin, a testament to folly. Yet the spirit of Babel endures. Even now men raise towers of their own, edifices of human reason, built on the sands of so-called science and speculation, rejecting the eternal word. They proclaim their creeds, promising salvation without obedience, and call it heaven. But the Lord looks from on high, beholding all the sons of men. His counsel stands forever, and the works of pride shall be laid low. In the end, the account of Babel is a warning. The Most High reigns, and none may defy his power with impunity. As the psalmist declares, the Lord bringeth the counsel of the heathen to naught. He maketh the devices of the people of none effect. The counsel of the Lord standeth forever, the thoughts of his heart to all generations. So let it be through all the ages until the end of days.